All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And today, today some really odd happenings have happened. And it's interesting. The NYU Tisch School of Performing Arts has a kind of strange reaction, shall we say, to the pandemic at hand. Cody, tell us what's going on.
Okay, so something that's obviously been going on, I'm sure a lot of you guys watching have been dealing with it in one way or another, is that we've seen a lot of classes and a lot of, offices moving remotely, right? Taking a class on Zoom, that's the big one. I know about stalking Zoom 6 months ago. Wow, you're lucky. But anyway.
Yeah.
There's actually a funny story with that. I'm not going to talk about that today. So a bunch of students, though, from the NYU Tisch School of the Arts, I believe, basically have been petitioning to get a partial refund, essentially claiming that, look, maybe I can do a math lecture on Zoom, but I can't do acting. It's hard to do acting classes on Zoom. There's a lot of classes look, we just can't do this. It's hard to do a film production classes on Zoom. Not everything works for that. So they were asking for a partial refund. They go in here and say on March 18th, Dean of Tisch, Allison Green, emailed the student body that they would not be receiving reimbursement of tuition despite classes being moved to remote instruction for the remainder of the semester. By placing profits above the concerns, needs, and quality of education being received by NYU students, the dean ignores the fact that us art students will be paying full price for an education that lacks the facilities, equipment, technology, services, and hands-on experience we are explicitly paying for. Now, I'll be honest that I'm not, I don't know, I feel like art school is art school. You go there to learn art. A lot of people don't go to art school and they do fine. A lot of people go to art school and they don't do well. It's kind of that being said, I do feel they're paying for a service. They should be receiving it. Anyway, the reason why I bring this up, because this is also happening, by the way, I believe do I have it pulled up right now? Let me have it pulled up right now. I believe same thing's happening at Yale. Art schools in general are saying, hey, I can't do art class on Zoom. Anyway, recently, and I think this was maybe 4 or 5 days ago, this was published, and this is encompassing with the email they got in response. This is the actual story. This is where things get weird. So this is published by an Ellie Yerman, an open letter to Tisch Dean Allison Green. Please stop. You might be asking what that's in reference to. Well, when they got their email basically saying, LOL, none of your classes are being refunded, I guess here we go. Over the past week or so, the student body of Tisch, particularly the drama students, has engaged in a back and forth with the administration regarding tuition and Zoom. We covered that before. Agree students argue that remote classes cannot possibly serve as an adequate replacement for classes that necessitate a physical presence in the room, acting, dance, film projects, etc. And there have been various calls for a partial refund, including a change.org petition that a publication had approximately 1,700 signatures. By the way, it's almost up to 2,500, and calls to strike by sitting out of virtual classes. In turn, Tisch administration has responded with a number of emails stating categorically that no tuition will be refunded, and explanations of varying degrees of empathy and detail as to why that is. In the most recent email, in addition to doubling down on the message, we are not refunding your tuition, they honestly should have just included an LOL at the end of that. Dean Allison Green included a Vimeo link to a 2-minute, 16-second video in which the self-described choreographer and visual artist awkwardly dances and lip syncs to REM's Losing My Religion. So I'm going to play a little bit of that. I'll probably have it mostly muted just so they don't take it down or whatever because REM music's playing. But this is something I want to highlight too. They post a link. And, literally, this is an unlisted link on Vimeo. This was because when I first saw it, I was like, is that a mistake? This administrator just linked the wrong. Maybe they made this video for their friend and they attached the wrong thing. And apparently not. So I'm going to play it in the background with the sound off for a second, and you can check it out. By the way, I'm not going to get in this woman too much because I don't really care. If you work at an art school, you should know how to cut the first 7 seconds off a video so we don't have to see you awkwardly standing here setting it up. But that is said, and hold on, that's the best part, though. The best part of this whole video. And the only reason why I bring this up is because I can see how people are so upset. I want you to... Look at that shrug. That being accompanied with sorry, you don't get any of your money back is just, it is so...
Sorry, you just indebted yourself $50,000 this semester.
NYU Art's going cheap.
Yeah, dude. No, Tisch School of the Performing Arts is considered easily top 3 acting school in the nation.
So are you telling me if you spent...
there's Juilliard. There's Juilliard. There's Tisch. There's a handful of others, and they all fight for the top slot. But I lived in New York, only about 8 blocks north of Tisch School of the Performing Arts, and I had a lot of friends that went there. And ain't cheap is an understatement. So to have her just shrug sorry, you're screwed $50K. Sorry, your house just burned down. No insurance. You still owe us. Like, oh, man.
And the song in question is REM's Losing My Religion, by the way. Like I said, I turned it on, but if I turn the audio on, they probably make me mute it anyway, because I'm sure someone has rights to that wants to hold them on. Anyway, though.
Well, can we also talk about her choreography, please, too, though? Because
I'm not gonna,
if you're a $50,000 art school, I want to see some, like, acrobatics here. I want to see some real deep interpretive dance. I don't want to see some, like, 70s drunk reliving the early 80s album release.
I'm not going to criticize the dancing itself. I don't dance. I'm not a dancer. Speaking of actually not dancing, we can talk about that a little bit later. Fat Joe and Andrew Yang actually recently had an Instagram live together. But that aside, what kind of bothers me the most about all this stuff is the fact that, and even the art,
she's swanning it.
It's still going on, by the way. But it's just, I literally could not imagine being in the stance of. And again, I got no problem admitting it. Generally speaking, I ain't got much sympathy for art school students. If you're like, hey, if you want to be an artist, go ahead. But, you know, it's art school. I don't know. But I have sympathy for people spending a lot of money to try to learn how to get better at their craft, being sent this with a XD, sorry, you don't get any of your tuition back. And but there's something else I want to highlight. One, the ending where she just kind of stares blankly, and I don't know, it was weird. Maybe someone. And again, if you're working at art school, just figure out how to make the video 15 seconds shorter so you don't have the end in the beginning. But yeah, that was an intentional video published by the professor. And I wanted to do one thing, though, because I don't want to clown on someone for no reason. So I pulled up here. This is the NYU Tisch Partial Relief Effort official Facebook group. And I want to highlight this, just to defend this woman.
Okay.
That they had a poll on their own Facebook group saying, who do you blame for this? And it doesn't seem like more than 100 people have responded, but by and large, they're all saying they blame the school more than obviously the dean of the art school. But the reason I wanted to bring this up and talk about it is it's just one of the most. We've seen a lot of people, I don't know if stir crazy is the word, but we've seen a lot of people handling this situation interestingly. This might be the worst handling of because I'm serious, these kids brought up a legitimate point that, look, I actually can't take my class. And look, I again want to go back to this op-ed, I guess you would call it, that someone wrote. And it's interesting. They say they pretty forgot the word, but they say, we get that the financials of a private university are complicated. We get you can't just wave a wand and give people their tuition. It might even be the case that those students are in the wrong. Let's talk about it. But even if they are, how could you possibly think this would do anything but piss everyone off? Did you think about this even for a second? This video is not cute. It's uncomfortable to watch. Then go on. But I do want to get to the point that, I'm not here defending, oh, how dare. It's just, it's one of those reactions, one of those responses that's so bizarre. I can't help but, my knee-jerk reaction is to side against this person. You know what I mean? My knee-jerk reaction is this person can't possibly be in the right here. You know, so I don't know. I just thought this was something interesting to bring up because it kind of reminds me a little bit of that shrug at the beginning. I have to admit, I don't even go to that school. I've spent no money to go there. I'm
furious.
I would be livid if that was the response I got. You know, anyone has seen the movie, there's a scene in Face Off when Nicolas Cage throws somebody out of an airplane and he looks at the person and he goes, it's the same. Not going to go too long into that. But
I don't remember that scene. We should have pulled up a still frame.
It's the very beginning of the movie. But I think it's the first scene. Yeah, at the airport. Anyway, though, we've seen Cheesecake Factory. I'll pull that up too. Cheesecake Factory just tell its landlords, LOL, we aren't paying rent anymore. We're starting to see, and this was the interesting other end of it. Here's the Cheesecake Factory story brought up over the last day or so. But what's interesting to me is we're seeing it, I don't know, we're seeing it go both ways, right? We're seeing people what I'm trying to say is we're starting to see a lot of people just say, shove off, you're not getting your money back.
Yeah.
Or shove off, I'm not paying you. The most bizarre inversion definitely is the dean of the art school sending the REM Losing My Religion dance.
Yeah.
But it also looks like this. I mean, Cheesecake Factory isn't a art school dean, so they wrote an actual letter on Cheesecake Factory letterhead to the landlords to be telling them we will not be paying rent. They didn't send an interpretive dance video with no production or editing.
Did they have the shrug emoji at the bottom of the letter?
Should have. They should have.
They should have.
No. There should have just been a giant XD at the bottom.
Yeah, a giant XD. Not even the emoji. The old Elite Speak, it was called, right? Elite Speak?
I mean, that's just more of an old before there was emojis, we had
Yeah.
to just make faces with simples.
Yeah.
Now, what you're
exactly.
talking about is more like substituting E's for threes for E's,
Yeah.
pwn, stuff like that. Now, you're talking more about that. You're talking like 1337 is what you're speaking of. Now, this is more just, you had to use simples. But I don't know, man. I don't think if the things can, I'm trying to say is this. I mean, I apologize. It's Friday. I'm a little bit scattered here. But we're starting to see more and more of this. I think if we see the economy and just the shutdown keep going on like this, we're going to see more people we're going to see some really bizarre reactions. I guess is what I'm trying to say. And this is a great example of it. And it's going to keep happening. And I just wanted to highlight this one because I don't know. I wasn't prepared for react. I wasn't prepared to see this. I didn't think it was real, but it is real. Just one last time, we'll show you guys. This is who it is. Allison Green. She is the Dean Tisch of the Arts. Actually, it's ironic. If you go to look her up on their website, it actually says that NYU has moved to remote instruction. All Tisch events have been postponed until further notice. So I wanted to confirm: is this who it is? And the last thing I have to say is, unfortunately, I apologize to the people of New York. It appears she is from California.
Dude,
she was the chair of the Department of Theater and Dance at University of California, San Diego, in partnership with the La Jolla Playhouse, and she earned a full professor in dance at UCSD in 2003. So I guess California's partly blamed to this, but I don't know, man.
California Democrats,
Is
we
there
don't produce
anything
them good.
something can do that'd make you more mad in there? I'm not refunding your money email, I guess is my point.
I really can't think of something outside of something that threatens your life that could just be more blood boiling.
No, I would be happier if she threatened my life. At least there's like a response. What's the response to this?
I mean,
nice moves? Like, what do you say? I don't know. You suck at dancing?
yeah.
Like,
that's like the look that the serial killer gives you once he figures out that he's won and you're his next victim. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Is she spiking the football? Is this
She's spiking the football on suffering.
is this clowning on the students? Like, is that? So I guess that's the other angle of this. Are we seeing I guess it is kind of like it's the defiance. Just the no, you don't get your money back. LOL. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, let us know what you guys think. If any of you guys go to Tisch School of Performing Arts, because I know we got a lot of New Yorkers in our fan base, let us know if this has affected you. Oh, obviously, if you go to Tisch, it's affected you. But what the reaction, the inside scoop has been. Also, follow us on Twitter at PSP Radio 1. And please consider joining the channel if you can. It's an inexpensive way to keep these videos coming to you without corporate sponsorship. And also, make sure you check us out on your favorite podcast platform, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, the whole 9 yards. We got them all. This is Problem Solver Politics. See you guys in the next video.